Maya Chen adjusted her designer blazer as she approached the first-class check-in counter at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Her polished briefcase contained documents that could reshape the aviation industry forever. The young white clerk, Brad, barely glanced up from his computer screen. "Excuse me, ma'am. I think you're in the wrong line," Brad said, his voice dripping with condescension. "Economy check-in is over there." Maya smiled politely, sliding her platinum boarding pass across the marble counter. "First class, seat RA." Brad's eyes widened slightly, but his prejudice ran deeper than surprise. He typed furiously, frowning at his screen. "I'm sorry, but there seems to be an issue with your ticket. We'll have to move you to economy. Seat 23B. "That's impossible," Maya replied calmly. "I purchased this ticket myself." "Look, lady, I don't make the rules," Brad snapped. "Take it or leave it." Maya's jaw tightened, but she maintained her composure. She accepted the new boarding pass, her mind already calculating the consequences of this moment. Brad had no idea he'd just made the costliest mistake of his career. The economy cabin buzzed with uncomfortable energy as Maya settled into her cramped seat. Passengers whispered and stared, some making barely concealed racist comments. A middle-aged white businessman in the row had turned around. "Finally, someone who knows their place," he muttered loudly enough for others to hear. Maya pulled out her phone, ignoring the ignorant remarks. Her first call was brief but powerful. "This is Maya Chen." "Yes, I'm on the flight now." "Initiate Operation Thunderbird immediately." The businessman frowned, trying to eavesdrop. Maya's second call was even more intriguing. "Cancel the merger meeting. We're moving to Plan B, and Johnson. Make sure the board knows exactly why." Her voice carried authority that made nearby passengers lean closer. Who was this woman? Her expensive watch gleamed under the cabin lights, and her confidence seemed unshakable despite the humiliation she'd endured. A flight attendant, Sandra, noticed the growing tension. Unlike her colleagues, Sandra treated Maya with genuine respect. "Can I get you anything, ma'am?" Sandra asked kindly. "Just some water, thank you," Maya replied. "And Sandra, remember this flight. It's going to be historic." Sandra's curiosity was piqued, but before she could ask more questions, the captain's voice crackled through the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing some technical difficulties with our navigation system. We may need to make an emergency landing." Panic rippled through the cabin as the plane shuddered violently. Oxygen masks dropped, and passengers screamed. In the chaos, Maya remained eerily calm. She unbuckled her seatbelt and stood up. "Captain Richards, this is Maya Chen," she called toward the cockpit. "I need to speak with you immediately." The same businessman who'd insulted her earlier was now pale with fear. "Sit down. You can't just walk around." Maya ignored him, making her way to the front of the plane. The flight crew tried to stop her, but something in her authoritative tone made them hesitate. "I'm a licensed pilot and aerospace engineer," Maya announced to the cabin. "More importantly, I helped design the navigation system you're using." The captain emerged from the cockpit, his face edged with worry. "Ma'am, I appreciate the offer, but Captain, you're flying a Boeing 787-9, registration number N2847B. The navigation glitch you're experiencing is related to software version 4.2.1. I wrote that code." The captain's eyes widened in recognition and relief. Maya's expertise became their lifeline as she guided the crew through a complex manual override procedure. Her steady hands and brilliant mind transformed certain disaster into a controlled descent. Passengers watched in stunned silence as the woman they dismissed and disrespected became their savior. The racist businessman's face burned with shame as Maya's competence shone brighter than his prejudice. As the plane touched down safely, emergency vehicles surrounded the runway. Inside the cabin, the atmosphere had completely shifted. Passengers who'd sneered at Maya now looked at her with respect and gratitude. Captain Richards addressed the cabin over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that we owe our lives to passenger Maya Chen, who happens to be the Chief Technology Officer and majority shareholder of Horizon Airlines." The revelation hit like thunder. Maya owned 45% of the airline they were flying on. Brad, the check-in clerk, listening through his radio headset, felt his world collapse. Maya stood up, her voice clear and commanding. "Effective immediately, Horizon Airlines will implement new anti-discrimination training for all employees. Any staff member found guilty of racial bias will be terminated without exception." She looked directly at the racist businessman. "Sir, you're permanently banned from flying with any airline in our network. Actions have consequences." Brad's supervisor was already on the phone, his termination papers being prepared before the plane had fully stopped 3 months later. Maya stood at a podium addressing the International Aviation Conference. Behind her, a banner read "Equality takes flight." The industry had taken notice of her bold stand against discrimination. "Change doesn't happen in boardrooms alone," Maya declared to the packed auditorium. "It happens when we refuse to accept injustice, even at 30,000 feet." The audience erupted in applause. In the front row, Sandra, the kind flight attendant, smiled proudly. She'd been promoted to head of customer relations, leading Horizon's new equality initiative. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from her assistant. "Horizon stock up 12% today. The Respect in the Skies campaign is exceeding all projections." As she left the stage, Maya reflected on that turbulent flight. Sometimes the most powerful victories come from our lowest moments. Her refusal to be diminished by prejudice hadn't just saved lives that day. It had elevated an entire industry toward justice. The girl who'd been told to know her place had shown the world exactly where she belonged, at the top, leading with integrity and transforming discrimination into opportunity for all.